What's up guys, weaslemma here, and we have a fight announcement. Gilbert Burns is back at it again. He just fought less than 2 weeks ago, and he's already having another fight as the co-main event at UFC 288 next month against Belal Muhammad. Yes, Belal in fact did turn down the Shavkat fight and still took up a fight with Gilbert Burns, and it is during Ramadan. Credit to both guys, man. Gilbert Burns to get in there so quickly after a fight with Jorge Masvidal. When he says he wants to fight, he means it, man. He will take up any offer. And as for Belal, he's not going to be at 100% when he goes up against Burns. And it's respect to both guys, but I'm going to be honest here. I don't see how Belal gets past Burns. I don't see it. In almost any aspect of MMA, I see Burns having better striking. He has better grappling. Maybe not a better wrestler, but he has good takedown defense. And of course, if it gets to the ground, Belal's not going to have a fun time, whether Burns is on his back or on top. And it does throw a wrench into a lot of the plans here because Shavkat versus Belal was supposed to be the #1 contender fight. But now with Burns versus Belal happening, that means there's only one option for Shavkat. There's two guys in the top 5 that don't have a fight right now if you take a Hamza from the rankings. One of them is Shavkat Rakhmonov, and the other is Kamaru Usman, which means we have to see that fight lined up. And it makes perfect sense with the fact that Usman's coming off 2 losses in a row. He looks like he's aging, and this is the perfect time, just like we saw with the Tony Ferguson situation back in the day, like we see with many older fighters who just lost and they're still in the top 5, but they're on the decline. Feed them to the younger, up-and-coming star. It's the perfect time for business to use Kamaru Usman as some sort of stepping stone to elevate Shavkat Rakhmonov. Now, there's 2 questions that people are going to have. Number 1, Shavkat and Usman do train together sometimes, so are they in fact friends and will they not fight each other? Well, Shavkat actually went out and said last year that he's willing to fight Kamaru Usman. It seems like they're just training partners sometimes and not close friends like that, unless things have changed over the past 6 months. He said he's willing to fight Usman if he's still champion or even if he is the #1 contender, and Usman right now is the #1 contender. And the other question is, why would Usman take a fight with Shavkat? Well, the reason why he probably would is because he doesn't have many options. He had another shot at the title and just lost it. Who else is there for him to fight? Everybody else is pretty much booked already. And there are no big money fights for him unless he wants to wait for Conor McGregor or something, just in case Conor beats Michael Chandler. I mean, that's something far out left field to go for. But the most logical thing right now is for Usman to fight Shavkat, because right now he doesn't have many options. And I like that fight way better than Belal and Burns. For Usman and Shavkat, the way that Shavkat's gonna fight Kamaru Usman, he's gonna go out there and try to take his head off. Usman's gonna have to retaliate as well because Shavkat has good wrestling, so it's not gonna be an easy level change for Usman to drag things down. Usman's gonna use every tool in his toolbox in order to deal with someone like that. They're both big for the weight class, they're both very long, they both have an amazing jab. Shavkat is more of an arsenal when it comes to his stand-up and his submission game. Even if the fight gets to the ground, Usman's in danger there too. It might be the first time we've seen Shavkat on his back in a fight, and that could be very interesting because he is a submission opportunist. If an opening presents itself, he's going to grab onto something to snap or choke. We've seen that already throughout his career. And the fact that he's so long, he's 6'1", actually should be like 6'2" or 6'3", scaling him when he stood in front of Neil Magny, those long legs are going to be pretty difficult for Usman to pass the guard and escape some of those submission attempts. The biggest thing going for Usman though would be his jab, would be his right cross, the main weapons against a guy who doesn't really move his head too much. And we saw that even when Usman fought Gilbert Burns, another guy who doesn't move his head too much either, and he got blasted by jabs. But Usman is much slower, he's much sloppier, and Shavkat has some of the best footwork in the division. So if he could bait out a big punch from Usman and counter that, which he does so well, feints at you, back steps away from your counter, and able to counter your counter punch, is a big thing that Shavkat could do in that fight. The leg kick's going to be big, the kicks are going to be big as well. He's such an accurate head kicker, and he has some dangerous knees to intercept some of those takedowns, and he's going to put the pressure on Usman as well. Going to try to back him up every step of the way, forcing Usman to have to fight back at every turn. I love that fight so much, I hope it happens, man. And now the winner of, presumably, let's say these 2 fights happen, it's going to depend on who wins and who has the better performance. I do favor Gilbert Burns to beat Belal Muhammad 100%. With Usman and Shavkat, it's kind of up in the air because Usman is still good, but I could definitely see where Shavkat could take advantage of certain things, given his age, given his speed, given his athleticism, and his well-rounded skill set. I would slightly lean to Usman's side right now, but things can change along the way. So let's say if Shavkat wins and Belal Muhammad wins, I'm pretty sure Shavkat would have a better performance just given how he fights compared to how Belal fights. that would most likely mean that more people would want to watch Shavkat versus Leon Edwards or Colby Covington than for Belal Muhammad. Now, if Gilbert Burns and Shavkat wins, I think you would have to give it to Shavkat because both guys are probably going to have very good performances. If Usman and Belal wins, then you have to give it to Belal. And then if Burns and Usman wins, then you're probably going to have to give it to Gilbert Burns. So depending on who wins these fights, it greatly changes on who gets the next title shot against either Leon Edwards or Colby Covington. And honestly, it's a great problem to have for the welterweight division right now because it's active. It's finally active. Who would think that after Usman loses, things really start taking off?